From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to 1680 The Crow. I'm Liam Higgs, and this is your 10 o'clock news update. Let's give it over to our producer, Melanie Levesque, with our top stories for the day. Thanks, Melanie. A ship capsized near Vancouver's Wreck Beach late Monday afternoon. The Joint Rescue Coordination Center, JRCC, said they found out a man who died in the wreckage. The JRCC, as well as firefighters, searched the area for hours after the crash to see if anyone else was missing. The search was called off at 6:20 p.m. It has now been confirmed only one person was aboard the vessel. In other BC news, a minor earthquake has struck off the coast of British Columbia. Earthquakes Canada says the quake was measured at 3.9. The earthquake was said to be at a depth of 10 kilometers. However, no tsunami is expected, nor is any other kind of damage. Zooming out to the rest of Canada now, a House of Commons committee is asking the heads of Canada's major grocery chains to explain their plans to stabilize food prices. The chains who have been talked to are Loblaw, Sobeys, Metro, Costco, and Walmart. Let's hear from Laurie Paris, reporter from the Canadian Press.
This comes after Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne announced the companies have presented plans to the government to tackle rising prices, which he says includes discounts, price freezes, and price-matching campaigns. However, most grocers have not confirmed details of these plans, and Champagne recently said he wished they would be more forthcoming with the public on their commitments. The parliamentary committee is asking the grocers to submit their plans by November 2nd. It is also inviting Champagne and Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland to appear before the committee to answer questions. Laurie Paris, the Canadian Press.
On to the rest of the world now. With the Israel-Hamas conflict, Hamas has released more hostages, one of which was a BC resident's aunt. They were taken hostage during the October 7th attack on southern Israel. Associated Press reporter Karen Chamas has more.
It's okay, let's go.
A Hamas-released video showed the moment the two hostages were handed over to Red Cross officials. The video showed one hostage shake the hand of one of the masked fighters as she said, "Shalom." Arriving in Tel Aviv, that same hostage, 85-year-old Yocheved Lipschitz, spoke softly in Hebrew as she recounted her experience. She said the militants swarmed her kibbutz, beat people and killed indiscriminately. Yocheved then added once she was moved to Gaza, the experience with her captors improved. They were very gracious, this must be said. They kept us clean, kept us fed. We had the same food that they did. The women were freed days after an American woman and her teenage daughter were released. I'm Karen Chamas.
Moving on to the rest of the world now. Two cargo ships crashed into each other off of the coast of Germany early this morning. 6 people are currently missing after one ship sank. According to Emergency Command, one person was rescued from the water and has been given medical treatment. Checking out what's happening across the border this morning, firefighters and other crews in New Orleans are clearing the wreckage after a highway crash that killed at least 7 people and injured 25. Julie Walker from the Associated Press explains.
Louisiana officials say 158 vehicles were involved in the pileup on I-55, including a tanker that caught fire and a car that flipped over a guardrail, landing in the water. That driver made it out. Pictures and video from the scene show cars piled on top of one another, crushed front and rear ends, blown tires, and distraught drivers. The crash was caused by smoke from a marsh fire mixing with dense fog, creating a super fog, dropping visibility to just a few feet. I'm Julie Walker.
In other American news, Donald Trump's friend Michael Cohen is planning to testify against his old boss as a witness in the former president's trial in New York. Cohen spoke to reporters before this court this morning.
This is not about Donald Trump versus Michael Cohen or Michael Cohen versus Donald Trump. This is about accountability, plain and simple, and we leave it up to Judge Engoron in order to make all the determinations on that.
Trump is expected to testify later on in the trial. Thanks for joining me. I'm Liam Higgs, and that was your 10 o'clock news update on 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Hello and welcome to For the Record on 1680 The Crow. I'm Jagraz Lawley. In today's world, where it's more important than ever for people to come together and understand each other, schools have quite the role. They help shape how students see the world, what they believe in, and how they connect with a world that's filled with all kinds of people. Religion is about different beliefs and traditions, and it's important for kids to learn about them. But why is it so important for schools to make room for these differences? To better understand this, I'm now joined by Amandeep Grewal, a teacher at David Thompson Secondary School and coordinator of the school's Sikh Club. Just want to start off by asking you, how does your background affect the way you teach and interact with students?
Yeah, definitely. I think my cultural background and my ethnicity really inform my teaching practice and the way I interact. I think, oftentimes, especially with the sort of racism piece, minorities are a little bit guarded around kids, and that definitely plays into sometimes the way I interact, which is, I'm more cautious or weary of stepping into certain zones with certain types of kids. But other than that, my background when it comes to my upbringing and, being born and raised in Canada and having gone through teacher ed, and especially my first teaching gig was with Britannia, where it was very student-centered, really informed me. I became very much a student-centered teacher, relaxed. Growing up, we had to make light of many things that were, heavy to carry. So I think I'm very lighthearted that way, and it definitely plays out in the classroom where, kids laugh, and I'm more sensitive to those sort of learning situations that require kids to be more relaxed in the classroom. The atmosphere has to be safe. It definitely plays a huge part in who I am and the way I teach.
You are the coordinator of David Thompson Sikh Club. What has the Sikh Club done to make the school more diverse and inclusive?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that we're visible. So I ran Sikh Club starting in 2014, run it through for up until now, even present day. And so one of the goals, especially when it comes to my own personal goal for Sikh Club and my approach towards creating inclusive and diverse spaces, is to sort of occupy the space. And by occupying the space, we have kids wear hoodies and purchase Sikh Club custom-made hoodies so that they're visible in the school. There's a sense that, okay, there is this community, and there's a linking of kids in the community. There's a linking to me. Letting the overall school community know that there is this group of kids, Sikh Club, Sikh kids who are together, and you can see them now. And we put on many events that are, in line with Sikhism, in line with the cultural piece around Sikhism, giving out over 2,000 samosas last year. Harjit Sajjan, the Honorable Minister, came by. He matched our Vaisakhi Day event where we gave out over 1,000 samosas. He said, I'm going to match it. I'm going to, support Sikh Club, the Sikh students. He also went to David Thompson, so he said, I'm going to bring 1,000 bags of chips. He sat with us. I gave him a Sikh Club hoodie. He was one of us. So showing that, the different levels where we begin first with recognition of who the Sikh kids are, so they're visible and visible, transition that visibility into a way that, they're visible in a way that's productive, or in the eyes of others, a part of a community that can give back, and a part of a community that deserves also your give back, that, you should value them, create opportunities for them, and create that equity piece around that. And then, showing that, we're very much a part of the greater Canadian community. Sajjan's with us, and giving back in that way, and the different levels that Sikhs have contributed within the minor community here in Southeast Van, and also in the major Canadian community of Canada at large.
What problems have you faced while trying to make the school more diverse, and how did you fix them?
Yeah, so being also the anti-racism school lead and working for the BCTF as an anti-racism facilitator, and being a part of the anti-racism action group with the BCTF, I definitely have a huge background in anti-racism. I have a master's thesis in anti-racism, where I wrote about racism within a school board, let's say. And so there's a huge background there. Knowing that, and having been read, and having many scholars who are my friends around the anti-racism piece, I can say with accuracy that there was a lot of pushback, there was a lot of microaggressions. There's definitely a palpable and overt racism that we face probably on a daily basis when it comes to running certain clubs, especially Sikh Club, and I also sponsor Muslim Club. So there is pushback in the sense that the educational structure within I work is predominantly white, and with that comes the power of decision making around that. So we can often be met with a less knowledgeable people in power who might be intimidated or triggered around certain cultural celebrations like maybe Baisakhi or Eid celebration. And oftentimes that translates and enters in a way in my life as a professional conversations around, whether it's appropriate to have these events or not, or and ultimately whether I think that I'm allowed to occupy space within my school and in the larger sort of educational school community around, being Sikh, supporting Eid events, or, pushing boundaries to say, hey, there is racism, there are racialized incidents, we need to be informed, we need to be compassionate, but we also need to push people to be better. So you get met with oftentimes very difficult conversations which are uncomfortable and can often be threatening as well in terms of people in power, but you sort of walk through them and try and come out of it with some sense that you're going to continue to do this sort of work.
What advice can you give to teachers and schools who want to be more diverse and inclusive?
Yeah, I think the first thing you need to do, like I did, was you need to be well-read, you need to be well-versed, you need to be well-educated, you need to get into circles like I did with the BCTF, where you're trained in anti-racism, you're trained in equity and diversity and what those things mean, because it's a very huge knowledge base there that you need to tap into. And then, take your own personality around that and focus it in on your school, but you're going to have to act on things that you think about, and the action piece is the key. So if you are weary about starting a C Club at your school, then you need more work in terms of whether it's gaining support and influence around people who can help you make that happen. And then the follow-through is also very important. It has to be done in a way that's tactful and takes into account where your school is at when it comes to diversity and equity piece, and where you think your leadership will back you when it comes to that as well. So it's that matching up and noticing mismatches and educating yourself. And what I always tell the kids is you have to build capacity in yourself, and the capacity has to help you manifest that vision and that ultimate moral of being equitable and diverse in your school community.
How can parents and the community help schools with promoting diversity?
I think parents, especially in the community around any given school, I know oftentimes they're a little bit afraid to speak out, but they don't need to speak out more. It's just a matter of lending support, perhaps. So if we do have a C Club, or you have a diversity club in your school, maybe parents call in and tell the principal, this is working great. We really appreciate your support around this thing, and acknowledging the piece that it can be difficult to help move the needle when it comes to diversity and equity, but also advocating and supporting the kids. And I think the community the school is in the community. It has to be a reflection of the community and feed the community with future members that are productive. So that same community has to then guide and mentor from the outside, and yet enter those institutions and say, hey, we're with you, like Sajjan did with our school at the Vaisakhi Day event. As a prime example, studied at DT, went on to do many great things around in his community, police officer, then went to federal politics, and then came back to DT to say, hey, I'm here with C Club. He even said it himself, they never had that back when he went to DT, and he would have loved to have seen that. So we can only imagine what the community can do once we have something like this diversity and equity playing out in schools, where they also support it and push for it and give it some more momentum. How far we can take our citizens and future citizens who are minorities, and even non-minorities, how they can be inspired to be better leaders for a country that is very diverse.
Mr. Gill, I appreciate you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jagraj. It was a pleasure.
That's all for today. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations on For the Record right here on 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikka-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikka-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Welcome, good morning, and thank you for joining us. I'm Aaliyah Andres, and here are the news headlines to 10:30. Starting with developments in the Middle East, 2 hostages that were held captive by Hamas were released to the Red Cross yesterday, 17 days after the initial battle between Israel and Hamas began. Karen Chamas from the Associated Press shares what one of the hostages experienced in Gaza.
It's okay, let's go.
A Hamas-released video showed the moment the 2 hostages were handed over to Red Cross officials. The video showed one hostage shake the hand of one of the masked fighters as she said, "Shalom." Arriving in Tel Aviv, that same hostage, 85-year-old Yocheved Lipschitz, spoke softly in Hebrew as she recounted her experience. She said the militants swarmed her kibbutz, beat people and killed indiscriminately. Yocheved then added once she was moved to Gaza, the experience with her captors improved. They were very gracious, this must be said. They kept us clean, kept us fed. We had the same food that they did. The women were freed days after an American woman and her teenage daughter were released. I'm Karen Chamas.
Along with the many lives that have been taken amid the war between Israel and Hamas, 23 journalists have been killed reporting the war on the front lines. The latest just on Sunday, Roshdi Siraj, a Palestinian journalist, was killed inside his Gaza apartment, shielding his wife and daughter from an airstrike. The Committee to Protect Journalists, also known as CPJ's Middle East and North Africa Program Coordinator, Sheriff Mansour, saying journalists across the region are making great sacrifices to cover this heartbreaking conflict. All parties must take steps to ensure their safety. Moving locally to BC, Premier David Eby is making it clear that no more money will be put into Surrey's police transition. Eby telling reporters Monday afternoon there's $150 million on the table that Surrey hasn't taken us up on. They have a surplus in their policing budget. They have a surplus overall. There is no more money. The ongoing controversy of keeping the RCMP in Surrey and the independent Surrey police force that former mayor, Doug McCallum, began has been a headache for Surrey residents and their tax dollars. Surrey Mayor Brenda Locke, who has been trying to reverse the new police force since the beginning of her time in office, says there will be a $314 million shortfall over 10 years if they have to drop the RCMP. Continuing in Vancouver today, BC Minister of Energy Josie Osborne will make an announcement today regarding amendments to BC's Zero Emission Vehicles Act. Additionally, David Eby will be speaking with Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation Murray Rankin about a new partnership agreement that supports the North Island economy. More coverage on that later today. And now into national, Unifor is gearing up to bargain with Canada's biggest grocery chain, and the union is determined to help workers with the inflation. The union's national president, Lana Payne, said she's hopeful an impact can take place across the sector.
There are other unions for sure in the representing grocery store workers, but what we feel as our responsibility here is to do everything we can to make sure that we're lifting all grocery store workers up by this round of collective bargaining, and we feel we have a window to be able to do that.
Payne also says workers at Ontario's No Frill stores and Dominion stores in Newfoundland and Labrador are prepared to fight for a fair agreement. Now moving across the border, where a devastating crash involving 158 vehicles in Louisiana Monday has left 25 injured and 7 dead. Dozens of cars piled on top of each other as people tried to help people out of vehicles. The incident occurred during what the state is calling super fog, an incredibly thick patch of fog that occurs when fog combines with smoke, creating near zero visibility. Focusing on something lighter now, snow is on the Coquihalla and Hope Princeton Highway. The roads became covered late Monday with another 10 to 15 centimeters expecting to drop on mountain highways today and this evening. Environment Canada's special weather announcement describes a slow-moving Arctic front through the region. And for our local weather in Vancouver, it is currently 7 degrees and raining. We'll see showers into the afternoon and evening with some sunshine peeking out over the next few days. And that was your news to 10:30. I'm Malia Andres. Thank you for tuning in to 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Too fast because my heart is going a bit too fast, so I'm going to slow it down a bit.
On one
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.